Hey y'all. So we're looking at the wars of Louis the XIV. And I know you probably are like, why did we do this chunk of reading here? But I'm hoping that makes sense. I hope you're realizing that everything we've taught from Great Britain, to the emergence of Great Britain, to the age of Louis the XIV, and to the competitive German states between Prussia and Austria, that these all merge together into what we call the wars of Louis the XIV, because we begin to see that. So let's go ahead and jump in. So we recognize this map. This is Europe in 1648. I hope you guys notice. I'm going to use my arrow here. We see the Spanish Netherlands here. We see Spain. We see Spain. These are the Spanish areas. We know Spain, despite their relative collapse, right, in 1588, followed by the battle with the Spanish Armada, followed by the Battle of Rocroi in the 30 Years' War in the 1640s. We're seeing this. So we're beginning to see, important. Here we see Austria. We talk a little bit about the transformation with Leopold the First, and as they're beginning to push towards this direction. But again, they're still significant in this area. And then we talked a little bit about France, right? We talked about France. And so this is kind of where we are. We're looking at this in 1648. I do believe the world kind of thought, wow, we're done. We're excited. We're done with war. Unfortunately, we're going to now see a conglomeration of causes. And these are the causes of the war. That's going to be the first video. In 1648, Westphalia, we've already talked about altered the balance of power. We know that the French Bourbons became the most powerful group. We know that when the French Bourbons becomes the most powerful, the balance of power will turn against them, and that's going to be really important. Talk a little bit about that. We also talk about Holy Roman Empire is still decentralized. What's going to happen there? Then we talk about Austrian chaos and the instability with Austria. They had an identity crisis that ultimately was going to be solved and fulfilled by that Austro-Ottoman War that we've already talked about. I believe it was the Peace of Karlowitz that really brought it into that. And now, instead of Austria being this chaotic, destroyed country, they're now maneuvering. They've been transformed, right? Well, Central Europe is going to be a power vacuum that could alter the BOP. So we have this chaos going on. Prussian militarism with Frederick William, the Great Elector. We know that really they became a very significant military power. What's going to happen? Is it going to use its military in battle? Is it going to use it as a diplomatic tool? And then we throw in the Stuart chaos of Great Britain. England has retreated into some isolation. Can England maintain the balance of power in Europe? Is that going to be the issue? Is France free to do what it wants? We've talked a little bit about the Dutch overextension. They had this great golden age. They became arrogant. They thought they were untouchable, invincible. Unfortunately, they were militarily overextended. We're going to see during these four wars, they're going to get shamat. But was the Dutch Empire too large? And I think the answer is, of course, it was. Can the Dutch protect its borders and its maritime routes? And then we're going to see the decline of the Spanish Habsburgs. From 1588 to 1648, they had a dramatic decline. Their hold on the Spanish Netherlands were in peril. Especially, remember, there was that at the outcome with the Peace of Pyrenees, they were supposed to give portions of the Spanish Netherlands to France. But then, despite all of this lack of predictability, who's going to be strong, we now see France is the cause. French absolutism really centralized. We see Marquis de Louvois really establish this powerful army. And once they establish this powerful army, what are they going to do? Are they going to hang out? Or are they going to go to war? Of course they're going to go to war. Louis XIV did have that kind of a Philip II thing, that he was chosen by God. So he sought to expand his kingdom at the expense of Protestantism. So by 1667, Europe was on the eggshells. That's a cliche. That, the idea that they're all worried about what will happen. So the question I have for you is, what's going to happen? And that's going to lead us to these wars. And we're going to talk about these wars in there. But I want to pause here. Think about this. We've looked at all of these countries already. We've taught them. We've seen them develop. All of those lack of predictability, all this chaos. The only country that really knows who it is France. And they're going to try to take advantage of this. And Louis XIV is going to lead them into 4 destructive wars that ultimately will transform Europe. And I hope that makes sense.